All right, welcome back, guys. We're in for another awesome episode. Today, I'm joined by Meaghan Likes of Bookkeeping Academy Online. We've had a little bit of a chat before this. I think she's got some cool stuff to share. She is definitely fits into the category of serial entrepreneur. So this is going to be a fun chat to chat about her and her story. But Meaghan, thanks so much for hopping on. Really looking forward to this.
Thanks, Brad. Me too. I'm really excited to get to know you and your audience.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes these chats I actually know the background of the person because we spent time together, and I kind of know where they're headed. And sometimes it's a total surprise. So both are fun. So this will be kind of fun. Everybody gets to go on the journey with me. So, do you have a way that you would kind of define, like, your primary profession, primary whatever? I know you own several businesses, but is there some way to put some context on that?
It's so funny. We're recording this on a Friday, and I'm a proud Rotarian. And in 2 weeks, I'm supposed to stand up in front of my Rotary Club and say, "Who am I?" in 2 minutes. And I was like, man, that would be a really good exercise to figure out who am I.
Okay,
And
let's work on it.
well, no, I'm not ready. Don't put me on the spot. But I'm like, for podcast interviews, that's great because sometimes I just go on and on, like, just like everybody, anybody listening, you have a story, and what part of your story do you want to share? And I feel like because I own 5 businesses, I even asked Brad before we started recording, like, so who am I today? Like, am I the third fastest window cleaner in the world, female window cleaner in the world? Is that who I am today because I own a window cleaning, gutter cleaning company? Or am I the CPA nerd who's still recovering from tax season because I've got another deadline in 3 days and I feel like my brain's a little bit tired? Or am I the educator and public speaker of Bookkeeping Academy Online? 'Cause I think that's my true passion. When people ask me, that's kind of my tagline, is I educate and empower small business owners to know numbers, like to help them see the finances of their business, because it's so inaccessible for so many people, particularly in home service industries. And I feel like that's kind of my secret sauce. That's my gift to the world, is I can help make something that's very scary and complicated simple and accessible and easy to understand. And I think that's my passion. But I'm also like an avid volunteer. I love to garden. I'm a chicken lady. I have chickens. I like my chickens.
Awesome.
There's lots of different things and aspects to me, but I was born into entrepreneurship. My parents were all self-employed growing up in a variety of different avenues. Grew up in like a scrapbook store working retail because my stepmom owned a scrapbook store, and my dad had a restaurant, and my mom was a writer. And I feel like the restaurant was kind of a pivotal moment for me because the restaurant was a genius idea. It was a little ahead of its times. It was a cyber cafe in the 90s, right?
Okay.
So we're like a little early. And the money part was the hard part. And same thing with scrapbooking. Like, the ideas are good, but the money's hard. Then I traveled a lot. I've lived in a lot of countries. I speak a couple of languages. And I met my husband one year when I was taking a cute sabbatical from college as a ski bum. And he and I worked for a ski company together. And in the summer, his friend kept trying to get him to go clean windows. And my husband was too proud. He's like, no, I'm better than that. I'm not going to go clean windows. Now, this guy was working at Quiznos. Quiznos is where he's working, and he was too proud to go clean windows.
Yeah.
It's ironic now, 15 years later. But he went and cleaned windows for the summer. He loved it. I talked him in. I loved him. I talked him into moving back to my town to finish my university degree, and we started a window cleaning business. And it finally clicked to me that Jeff, my husband, is a really good window cleaner and a terrible businessman.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a natural leader. He is not good with money. He's afraid of spreadsheets. He's afraid of numbers. He likes cleaning windows. And I think that when you told me kind of what the topic and goal of this podcast was, I was like, that's what resonates to me, is he is a technician mindset even now, very successfully later, and it's always a struggle to shift it into that CEO mindset. And we for years would say at the end of the day, like, were you a window cleaner today or a boss? Like that is like the classic question at the end of the day. Were you a window cleaner or a boss? So I don't know. That was probably more than 2 minutes, and I'm sure I skipped a lot of things about who I am and what I do, but that's why I'm here today, is to kind of talk through that with you, and maybe talk through that with me, because as I've developed my own accounting practice, I've definitely had the same thing, the technician mindset to the leader mindset, and I see it every day with these business owners that I talk to. Last year, I think I helped almost 10,000 business owners So I have a lot of conversations, and you're not alone if you're listening to this. If this is hard for you, that is normal, and you're in good company.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that last statement. You said so many things in like 3 minutes there, and I'm like, where's my pen to take notes? And I don't have it on my desk, and so we'll have to rely on my memory for a minute.
Mm, no
So
problem.
I think it was an interesting statement, Max. I want to hit this statement first because I just want to say something about it. But you said, your now husband was working at Quiznos and didn't was too proud to go clean windows. And I saw a meme on the internet the other day, and I think this ties into it. And it said, "People ask you your profession." It's written with a chip on someone's shoulder. People ask you your profession so they can decide how much respect you deserve. And that mentality so creates that, though, doesn't it? Like we're like, well, this is respectable, this is not respectable, like. And I grew up in a culture, our religious culture. We have a lot of medical people in our religion, and we like the doctors and the surgeons up here. But if you're just a lowly worker. And it reminds me of, we were down vacationing in the Virgin Islands a couple of years ago, and staying at this beautiful resort. And we're hanging out one day, and this not like the little fair ride helicopter. I mean, like the baller, like 7-8 passenger helicopter comes in, and he's hovering out in front of the hotel, just kind of back and forth and back and forth. Comes in, lands on the yard like he owns the place, and gets out and starts walking around and doing stuff. And he did this 2 or 3 different days. And so we finally asked the staff, who is this guy? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's our landscaper. That's how he visits his jobs. And he's actually out there flying around because he's checking on his guys from the air before he lands and comes in and tells them what he wants them to do. So if a landscaper can have a helicopter as his commuter thing, it doesn't matter what you sell or what you do. It's the kind of business that you run. So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say that because it just made me think of that story.
And I love it. And it's so funny. We still, and I like our humility. I kind of like that our industry is underplayed. Like, I hate that in America, I read a lot. I've read a couple of books that talk about this. Like, this is a total American thing. You're at a cocktail party, and the question they ask is, what do you do? And so on principle, I try really hard when I'm in a bar to not ask people what they do. And it's hard because we're doing that thing. We're like ranking, But my husband and I, we're very humble people. Like, well, no, I mean, I have a lot of confidence, but we're humble people when it comes to like cocktail parties and making friends. And so we just downplay it. Like when somebody asks me what I do, I say, oh, I'm an accountant. And he says, I'm a window cleaner. That's what we always say. But like, they don't know, we're pretty powerful CEOs that, we do really well. And my favorite is when somebody says, oh, have you ever considered being a CPA? And I always say, oh, yeah, I am one. I've been one for a while. Oh, have you ever considered going out on your own? Oh, yeah, I'm out on my own. Like, I've got a pretty big firm. And so, I don't know. I think humility is good, and I love this about our industry. I love this about home service in general, is we are the backbone of America. Like, I want my mission to be, although I think there are people smarter than me that are going to beat me to it in a good way, but to make home service sexy again, make the trade sexy again. Like, we are so critical to how things work. Yeah, I'm a very proud home service business owner, for sure.
Have you heard Kurt Kempton's story about that, about business being sexy?
Oh, yeah.
Man, that was a good, I don't have that episode. It's not out yet. But that will definitely be a clip that comes out, and how, like, it's your choice as a business owner, right? Like, we get to define that. And that's so cool. It doesn't matter what we do. We can make it sexy. We can make it exciting. We can make it something that's exceptional.
There is a Kurt Kempton episode where he talks about how we have to have a CEO mindset. But the story I think that you're alluding to, Kurt basically gets schooled in the Infusionsoft boardroom. But hopefully we didn't lose too much there when I accidentally closed. I got too many screens going here today, so sorry.
That's okay. We'll edit it out. Go check out the Kurt Kempton episode. You need to hear him tell the story.
And I just got to plug, because I can't not, check out his software. If you own a home service company, you can't afford to live without Kurt Kempton software. It has made me oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of money, and has tripled my average ticket just this year. So It's called Responsive. There's the paid
Yeah,
commercial.
yeah.
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say you better give the name of it,
I
otherwise
had
it's
to
gonna be
do
like,
it.
what do I need? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So I want to get into like where you came from and how you went from starting a window cleaning company as a college age to where you are today. But I actually want to hit on another topic here real quick that you brought up. And you said, your passion is around educating and teaching people and helping them understand their numbers. It and this won't surprise you, but as I've interviewed people, every the most successful ones have always said, I had a business and didn't know my numbers and went out of business. Or once I realized that I needed to know my numbers, it made all the difference. And they all say it from they're like, I know this is so obvious, I hate to even say it out loud. But it's an epidemic in small businesses, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Why?
was at I was at a really fun convention last week, brand new, totally random, called GutterCon.
Okay.
I thought I was going to a convention for gutter cleaners. Turns out I was going to a convention for gutter installers, which was super fascinating, and
Yeah.
it was really fun. And there was a guy in the audience, and if he's listening, he's going to crack up and love this. And he was doing over $2 million on Google Calendar still. And he didn't know his numbers. He didn't know his average ticket. He didn't know his conversion rate. And the man was just like turning money hand over fist in a good way. And I was like, you, sir, are not the model. You are the exception, and you are a lucky man. Because normally, like, it's too chaotic to break 1 million when we don't know our numbers. And I meet with a lot of business owners who are really good at breaking 1 million, and they're not actually making anything on the bottom line. So my passion about knowing your numbers is to take away that stress of like, can I make payroll this week? Or take away that stress of like, I'm not really sure when I can hire the next person or when I should put the next truck on the road. I had a call yesterday. It was so fun to tell them, like, go buy the truck. Here's where the money is. Go outfit the truck. Do it tomorrow. You're ready. Like, this is your sign. Go do it. And so sometimes people just need that translator in their company to help them understand and see the things that their gut's saying.
Why is it that is such a issue for small business owners? Why do you think they struggle knowing numbers? Is it just like they're just not taught in school how to understand business economics? Is it a time thing? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I want you to tell me what your perspective is, but why is it such a struggle?
I actually feel like, and this is a super bad thing to say publicly, but I'm just going to say it anyway, that it's my profession's not helping. I think accountants, we do something called CPA voodoo magic, and it makes us feel better, like from an ego perspective, when we hide it from our clients. Like, oh, don't worry, I fixed it. Don't worry, I did it. I made it all work. Don't worry, yeah, you're fine, you're making money. Like, there's something about like the way my profession started interacting with our clients that I think makes us like elitist. Like, oh, well, we know the numbers. You don't need to know that. We know the numbers. We got you. We're going to keep you out of jail. We have it. It's too complicated for you to understand. And somehow, somewhere along the line, that's what we did. We started just like delegating, and by delegating, I mean dumping the financial responsibilities of our companies on accountants. And we're like, no, that's not what we do. Like, we're going to outsource that, and we're going to I'm going to go clean windows. Or like, I'm going to go clean gutters, or I'm going to go wash houses, or I'm going to go mow lawns. Like, that's my job. And my accountant, they've got the bookkeeping. And what I like to say to counter that, because I'm a very proud CPA. Like, I think I've already said the word CPA like 6 times in this podcast. So it's not that I'm
You're
not.
Keep a count on the screen.
Yeah, you're going to keep it. It's going to become a drinking game, right? So I'm proud of my profession, but what I want to do is take the time to educate and empower my people, because me knowing your numbers is not going to help you, because guess what? No one will ever care about your money like you do. You are the only person in your company, not your sister, not your wife, not your mother-in-law, not your niece, not your office manager, not your bookkeeper, not your accountant. No one is going to care about the money of your business like you do. And unfortunately, it's like the first thing we like to delegate, and I believe it should be one of the last things that we delegate, and we shouldn't be delegating it until we have good systems in place. And unfortunately, like you said, there's so much fear around it and insecurity around it. And like my husband will tell you, I barely graduated high school, that's what he'll say, and he definitely didn't go to college, and he's like, and I don't do math. The man bought his first computer in 2021. He'd been in business for 14 years and didn't own a computer. First computer, 2021. And he's a really good window cleaner, guys. And he's actually
Yeah.
turned out to be a really good businessman. But the money part was scary. And I'm just trying to break this code. That's been my mission for a while now, is to break the code and make it not scary. Because guess what? We all know how much we made yesterday. We all know. And we know how much money is in the bank account. We know that too. I guarantee you, pretty much anybody listening, you know how much money you made yesterday, last week, last month, last year, gross, and you know how much money's in the bank account. So all I need to do is teach you 3 more numbers, and you will be wildly successful. And we just got to make it accessible. We got to make it easy.
I think that's a really interesting perspective. Like that is so different than most of the advice, most of the thought process that I've heard over the years. I always feel like, and I know I'm not an accountant, so I'm still gonna throw my 2 cents in there, which I really try not to. On
Please
this.
do.
I try to hear from you guys, but I feel like there's a really, really big confusion or misconception or ignorance around the difference between gross profit and net profit.
Well, gross profit, what's that, Brad? I don't think anybody knows what gross profit is.
Well, it is. They know that they spent, and then and we say in the cleaning world, like using that as an example, they know they spent this much in chemical and they had to pay their guys this much, and this job got them this much, but they really don't know how much money they made. And I mean, I say that, and I know a lot of people that are making decent money, and they still talk about their income on sales, on top line sales.
You're hanging out with cooler people than me, because the people that I hang out with have no idea what the word gross profit means. And when I'm like,
how they know what gross profit means, I think that's the only that's when they say profit, I think that's the number they're getting to. They don't realize that they don't know how to calculate the rest of their expenses and realize where did they really end up at the end of the day. But no, I'm not saying they know the word gross profit. I'm saying the concepts are just totally confused.
All of it. All of it. Like when I say like, well, what's your loaded payroll? People are like, what? They're like, well, I pay Joey $16 an hour, and I pay Jerry $20 an hour, and I pay Mary, $25 an hour or whatever. And I'm like, great. So like, how much is your workers' comp rate? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, what? Tell me about your taxes. Like, tell me about. It's so fascinating to me. But they can tell me how much they make, gross line, top line. Everybody can tell me how much they
know
make.
How much they sold.
How much they sold, and they can usually tell me how much they spend on marketing. It's the marketing and advertising are the sexy percentage on the P&L, and that's the one people know. That's the one they want to talk about. No. And I have this joke that I don't know if you can see me or if you're hearing me when you're listening to this, but if you run into a Meaghan Likes, I don't think there's that many of us, in a bar, and you tell me what your gross receipts is, I just say congratulations and I walk away. Every time. But if you come up to me in a bar, now this implies that I spend a lot of time in bars, which is kind of true, or coffee shops. I drink a lot of coffee. It's like an alternating thing, beer, coffee.
Okay.
And you tell me what your net profit percentage is, I will buy you a drink. Because to me, that's the thing I want to see our industry celebrate. To me, that's what changes the story of so many businesses failing, is when you can start paying attention to the bottom line. And then just recently, like a year ago, not even a year ago, it's like 7 months ago, I had this crazy epiphany at a giant trade show. And it was that nobody knows how to calculate net profit. If I was sitting at a table with 10 business owners, all very advanced, all over $1 million, and every single one of them was calculating net profit differently. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm still going to celebrate. If you tell me your net profit percentage, I'm still going to buy you a drink. We can still celebrate it.
Even if you're
wrong.
But
then we're going to have to talk about, like, how did you calculate it? Is it right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But the funny thing is, and I really want to spend, we're going to end up talking about numbers the whole time because I'm excited about your perspective on this.
Okay, all right.
But I think it's ironic, and I'd love for you to kind of chime in on this, but how important is it for a business owner, if you could contextualize it, to be able to read and understand a P&L to their future, to their exit, to their long-term success?
I don't think it's that important.
Okay. Do tell.
I don't, because I think it's too scary. Like, it's too hard, right? So I like to just pick it apart and choose a few things. So, I mean, ideally, absolutely, Brad. I would love, I had to give a talk last November, different conference. I talk a lot, in case you haven't noticed. I had to give a talk at a different conference, and it was, I'm still really mad about it, because the presenter, the organizer chose the topic, and the topic was like how to read a financial statement. And I was like, are you kidding? No one will come. And everybody that comes is going to be asleep. And the guy who was the organizer, he thought he was really clever, and he was like, oh, don't worry, it's not a breakout session. It's going to be on the main stage, and all of them are already going to be in the room, so they're going to have to stay. And I was like, really? You're going to give up main stage time for how to read a financial statement? He's like, yes, because if anybody can make it fun, it's you, and it's important. And so I went up there, and basically this is what I said. When we talk about reading a P&L or the importance of reading a financial statement, I said, this is the story of your company. These numbers, every single number on here is telling a story. So we have to get past this fear of it looking like a spreadsheet, or it looking like something official that's going to the bank, or it looking like something that your accountant put together. Like, we used to joke, I'm going to say it again, get ready to drink, CPA. We used to say that CPA stands for cut, paste, and assemble, or copy, paste, and assemble, because like that's a big part of our job, is like putting things together and making it look pretty, quote unquote. So this financial statement, if you're listening to this and you're a bookkeeper, you know exactly what I'm saying, because I can guarantee you're not opening your financials, right? You're like, good, it's done. I'll just leave it in the inbox until somebody needs to look at it, right? And what I want to do is teach you how to make that a living, breathing document. And by making a living, breathing document, you have to tell the story. So when we look at our top line, we have to watch, like, hey, congratulations, you grew by 50% year over year. And then I love to scroll down and be like, uh-oh, but look at our net profit. We're actually losing money. So all that hard work to bring in the extra income, you lost it all. None of it worked out, you know? So I like to say, let's look at this, let's see how we can tell a story. And I think that's what I try and do, is be the translative story. So instead of forcing people to look at financial statements that I know that they won't, I rather have them pick out a few numbers and start tracking them. So like for me in home service, I love looking at average ticket. I love looking at conversion rate. I love looking at net profit percentage. And I'm like, if you could look at those three numbers plus the two you already know, so the two you already know are your gross sales and the money in the bank, right? If you could look at those on a weekly basis, you'll double. It's like inevitable, because it becomes like a game against yourself. So I'm not going to make you look at the P&L because you don't want to, and you won't. But I encourage you to find somebody that can translate that P&L for you and with you, and then you make your own financial, you know, report that you want to be tracking against, and make it fun. Make it a competition against yourself.
Well, you have to be like the funnest CPA in the world. So like,
a lot of people
that's
say
awesome. You're like, throw those financial statements out. That's awesome. I love it. I really do. I love it.
I also love breaking them. One of my favorite hacks is if you are a sole proprietor or like a single member LLC, or even if you're an S corporation, and if you're listening to this, you're like, I have no idea. That's okay. Most people don't know what they are. But basically the question is, do you pay yourself a draw, or do you pay yourself on payroll on a W-2, right?
Yeah.
Even if you pay yourself on payroll as a W-2, usually these businesses are also taking distributions. And so what I'd like to do, my favorite hack, is I move all of the draws and distributions from the scary thing called the balance sheet that literally no one ever looks at. I move it from the balance sheet and I put it on the P&L. And every accountant out there says, oh my God, this lady, she's a hack. She's not, how could she call herself a CPA? Like, that is against every rule in the books. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but guess what? Your clients have no idea how much money they're taking out of their companies, and they're never gonna look at their balance sheet. So we got to put it on the P&L, because sometimes we can sneak it in, like spoonful of sugar. We can make them look at the P&L, and we show them what their net profit is, and then we show them how much they took out of the company. And then that bottom line number finally makes sense, because it kind of matches the change in the bank account. It's a weird hack, but if you want to see how your business is doing, I encourage moving your draws and distributions onto your P&L as an other expense. That is your like free fact of this hour.
So 2 more questions, and then we're going to switch gears.
Okay. Brad's smiling. In case you can't see it, he's smiling. Like, I can tell he's just smiling.
Yeah, I love it.
Excited about these questions.
I'm about to lose these questions.
Go.
What was I going to say with that? We may have to move on topics, because it was like right there in my mind.
sorry.
And I
I
think
talked too
no,
much.
no, no. It's
Tried to
it's
warn you.
good. It's good. This has been like super. Okay, actually, my first question, accounting question. Uh, are you a fan of Profit First, or is that garbage?
I am a huge, huge profit first nerd. And I have to put the caveat because you said accounting question. Well, I'm going to say it again. Get ready to drink. While I'm a CPA, I am not your CPA, so none of this is advice for you. I don't know your particular situation. Okay, but I love profit first. I love it so much. We implemented it in our window cleaning company. I feel like almost 5 years ago, and I regret every day that I didn't do it earlier. I left so much, I lost so much money in the cracks because I wasn't paying attention. And Profit First completely changed our financial story. It changed our entire future. And here's how it works. It basically plays to your psychology, and I'm not gonna like get into the whole Parkinson's law because I've never found a way to make it sound cool or
That's
anything.
okay.
I don't.
We'll let Mike McAllowitz work with that. Work
Yeah,
on that. Yeah.
Mike makes it sound super cool. I'm stoked because I actually get to be at an event with Mike next week, and we're not necessarily sharing the stage, but I'm absolutely plotting to fangirl. So he talks about how we kind of just like expand to what we have available, and by expanding to what we have available, it's we just waste money. We just lose money. And so Profit First basically hides the money from ourselves. So every bank account has a job, and the bank accounts are all separate, and then it changes our psychology of how we spend our money. You're guaranteed to increase your bottom line by 4% in the first year of implementing Profit First. Guaranteed. Most people I work with, they have crazy success paying off debt, high interest debt, bad debt, and accumulating tons of cash. And these are business owners that have never had money in their bank account ever before in their life. And now we're doing like, we've got 5 figures stashed away, we've got 6 figures stashed away, and their business, dang it.
Uh-oh.
I died. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll just
I
pick
thought I
back
would
up.
have,
It was
I
good.
thought I would have more time to plug in, and I did not have more time to plug in. So I'm sorry. I was like, I'll just finish the thought, and then it went down. Did you hear me curse?
No.
Good.
No, it missed
There
the
was some
episode.
big curse words. I was like, I can. Okay, so we were right in the mid sentence of Profit First, and now I'm all glitchy. Am I glitchy on your end?
Yeah, but it should, with Riverside, it should record okay. So it's recording locally to your computer.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we'll try.
It uploads later.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. It's all good. So basically, were you getting ready to say basically what Profit First is? Or did you kind of explain that? I forget exactly where you were with it.
Yeah. I'm
It's
sorry
okay.
to all editors working on this. I tried to preface with I'm a hot mess, and so we'll just make it work.
Well, you know what? Big shout out to Profit First. If you want to know more about it, look it up, check it out, call Meaghan.
Yeah, the way I like to say is in the past I have this good visual when I talk about Profit First is that it felt like I had more money coming out of the ATM than I had going into the ATM. And once I implemented Profit First in my company, it became like stacks of money in the bank vault. That's basically how it feels. And the first couple of months of us doing Profit First in the window cleaning business, I would say like, can I see the bank accounts? I'd come home at night. Can I see the bank accounts? Can you just show me what the bank accounts balance looks like? Can I just look at them? Because we'd never accumulated cash before, ever. Like we were smart business people and we were not accumulating cash. And so for me, Profit First was the opportunity to accumulate that cash, which was pretty awesome.
I think it's really interesting to listen to your approach on your business, and I feel like your personality is a little bit different than, how do I phrase this kindly? Most CPAs that I've known.
Oh, I thought you were going to say anyone. I know. I'm insane. I'm a weirdo.
Would you consider yourself a bit of a rule breaker more than a rule follower?
I consider myself.
You're moving things off the balance sheet into the P&L. Like, just.
I consider myself a disruptor. Like,
okay.
I think I got
that.
really clear about my mission at Likes Accounting Company, which was to help home service business owners just like my husband, Jeff, make it. Like, I don't want my companies to be a statistic, right? I don't want them to close. I want them to change their financial stories and their futures. That's my passion. And so I had to bend some rules to make that work. And I refused to trade time for money, and I also refused to die at my desk. So between like those weird things, it made me not a typical accountant, right? Like I worked those 100-hour-a-week tax seasons. I don't want to do that anymore. Last year I got to travel 30 weeks of the year. Like my husband took 7 consecutive weeks off last year from his home service business. He's a window cleaner, guys. And you can't clean windows from, like, we went to Africa twice last year. I believe that you can do it differently. You don't have to do it the way the plumber down the street's doing it, or the way your buddy you met at the bar is doing it. You can do it a way that serves you and your family and your community, and you can do it your way. Like, I kind of love that about being an entrepreneur. We get to break things. Like, yeah, sure, we get to break rules. I tend to like rules. All my friends will tell you I'm a definite rule follower, but I'm a disruptor. Like, I will question you. Well, why is that the rule? Why do we have to do it that way? Tell me. Give me a good reason.
Have you ever read the book Before Expectations?
No, but I'm gonna write it down.
I'll send you a copy. I'm gonna send you a copy.
Perfect. Great. I like hard copy books. I'm still old school. I do the old school planner still. You know, the shout out to the Full Focus Planner. Big fan.
Yeah, I've got my journal somewhere, and I write down what I want to do. And then I've got the sticky notes, but we won't talk about the sticky notes.
Oh my God, look at the sticky notes in the planner. I'm so bad. So many sticky notes.
There may or may not be sticky notes all over my podcast table.
I love it.
We don't have to see them, so we won't talk about it.
I love it.
So, you guys, that is a great segue.
Okay.
You guys today, you're at a place, you traveled 30 weeks last year. You're going places you want, 2 trips overseas just to Africa.
Well,
your husband took 7 weeks.
In 7 weeks. Like, we went to Africa twice in 7 weeks, right? It's crazy.
And,
who does that?
you know, your husband's able to take huge amounts of time. That's a long ways from where you started.
And it's not
window
perfect.
cleaning.
And it's not perfect. Like, I'm not here to say I figured it all out. I'm not here to say be like me. And I'm not here to say, like, I just had a couple meetings this morning and they're like, but are you happy? Like, you're awfully busy. You know, like, so find what works for you. What's the thing that you want? Do you want to pick your kids up from school? Do you want to, like, I don't know, read a book in a hammock? Do you want to go to the beach? Like, find the thing. You want to volunteer at your church? You want to go to Disneyland? Like, find the thing that drives you. For me, I'm like a compulsive traveler. I don't like to sit still. I like to be gone. That makes me happy. But find the thing that makes you happy and then build your business around it, because that's the whole point of being self-employed, in my opinion. Make it what you want it to be.
What I do want to hear about, though, is a little bit about that journey, how it got started. You're making choices for yourself today. Maybe it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Newsflash for all entrepreneurs, it's never going to be perfect.
And we're never going to be done, I hope.
If it was, you'd be disappointed and bored. So don't wish for that. Don't wish for it to be done. That's my opinion.
I agree.
But tell me a little bit about how you guys, like, tell me a little bit about that journey, how you go from what your husband perceived as to be a very humble profession to where you are today. Like, tell me a little bit about that, because I think I'm very fascinated as to how you guys got here today.
I think it's actually this partnership. And so if you are self-employed and you are alone, I feel like I hear this a lot. I want to remind you, you're not alone. Even if you don't have a spouse in your business or a business partner in your business, you're not alone. Like, find a mentor, find a friend, find somebody that will compliment you and challenge you, find a coach, find somebody that's going to push you. And I think is the curse and the blessing of Jeff Likes Clean Windows, is that Jeff and I are very different. We have very different strengths, we have very different skills, we have very different, like, backgrounds, upbringings, visions. And this is like, I mean, everybody says it, but we don't have children, so it's legit true. This is our baby. Like, this is our life's work. This is our legacy that we're building with Jeff Likes Clean Windows. And we both have put our DNA into it and our imprint into it. Jeff, my husband, even now, this is being recorded in 2022. Even in 2022, there are days of the week where he just wants to go clean windows, and that's what makes him happy. And he's married to this woman that refuses to sit still and kind of likes to hang out with him. So I had to build a business that would make it so that we could make money while he wasn't cleaning windows. Like, that's how simple it was. I wanted him to travel with me, And he wanted to clean windows. And so we had to figure out like, well, I guess we're gonna have a window cleaning company then, right? And I guess we're gonna have technicians, and we're gonna have like managers, and we're gonna have supervisors, and we're gonna have to build infrastructure so that that's not stressful. And then even though we complement each other, we still don't know everything between the two of us, and we've leaned on help. Like, we have hired a lot of consultants, and we have talked to a lot of people smarter than us, and we're constantly learning. I think our latest thing we've really been working on is managing, leading. Like, that is something that actually I don't think comes very naturally to either of us, and we approach it very differently, and so that's kind of what we've been doing. It's fun. We're always learning. There's always something that we get to refine. And if you are like sitting there like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to leave my business for 7 weeks, I will tell you that was me less than 2 years ago. We had this magic number. Jeff could leave for 2 weeks at a time, and he only had to be home for like 3 days in between. But if he was gone for 2 weeks and a day, like the sky fell, it was dumpster fire disaster, it was complete anarchy, like everything. There's something weird about the 2 week mark of him being gone consecutively. And we joined a group called Breakthrough Academy out of Canada, and that was my goal. That was like my BHAG, you know? My big, hairy, audacious goal was to get Jeff out of the business for more than 2 consecutive weeks. And it was just simple tweaks to how we built a leadership team in our company that they showed us, and that was the turning point. That was what got us out of the day-to-day operations. And we're not absentee. We don't want to be absentee. But it was just these simple little fixes. And I'm going to share, because you might be listening, you're like, I'm never going to be able to leave for more than 2 weeks, or even 2 weeks. That sounds crazy. For them, the simple fix that we had to do was a what-if Google Doc. One what-if Google Doc that is living and breathing of us brainstorming with our team all of the terrible things that could happen while we were gone, and then empowering them to just deal with it, was what allowed him to be gone for 7 weeks last year in a row. No calls, no texts, no emails, no showing up to the office. 7 weeks. One Google Doc. And I love that about business. Like, sometimes it's just this one aha moment that wasn't my idea that you get to implement and execute on, and it's all better.
The battle between our ears, right? That 6-inch battlefield. So you talk a lot about your partnership being a key to that success. What did that look like in the beginning? How did that work? What did he do? What did you do? How did you guys make that work into something that was successful?
Oh, we're not good at this. So like, this is embarrassing. This is like, yeah, well, I mean, whatever. I'm just here as me, so it's not embarrassing. But I have still not fully successfully read E-Myth. I read a lot of books, but that one is hard for me. And like, I start it and I stop it and I start it and I stop it. And I'm like, this is so much work. So I stop it and I read something easier and like fluffier, like one idea that I can execute and implement. Because E-Myth, I feel like you could spend 10 years. Same with Traction. But I know them, I understand them, and this idea of an org chart and a depth chart, right? The idea that you put every position in your company on paper, and then your name might be in 20 boxes. I feel like that's a very fundamental key to both of those books. And in the beginning, there were only 2 of us, right? Mm-hmm. So we just divided and conquered. He would go clean glass, and I did everything else. I would do the marketing. I did my own SEO in the beginning. We chose our service area based on where I could get listed on Google, right? Like, I designed my own brand, which is so sad now that we've rebranded. Small shout out to Dan Antonelli at KickCharge for giving us a grown-up image. But our original brand was designed by an accountant, a very nerdy accountant. I did our first 2 websites was me. I did them by hand. I did all the insurance. I did, all the marketing ideas we did guerrilla marketing. I've always kind of refused to spend money on advertising because I'm cheap. And I wasn't interested in growing a big gross business. I was interested in growing a big healthy business. But now it's getting really fun. We get to actually do some marketing and bring in some experts that are much better than I am. And that's what it looked like. And then as we started to grow, he took on this role of manager, right? So now he had helpers with him. And then, we grew and he had vehicles out without him. And so he was learning how to lead. We were learning how to inspire and coach and hold people accountable. I feel like we're still figuring that out. Recruiting, I'm still the recruiter in the company. Um, Software, we really lean on technology and software and automations because we're small. We're running a pretty big company and we still only have one person in the office because I lean on all of these technologies to keep that nice and clean and easy. I want the same customer experience every single time. And now we're working a lot harder on that employee experience. What does that look like? So now Jeff says that his job in the company is he's a cheerleader. That he won't say he's a coach. He doesn't say he's a boss. He's a cheerleader, and his job is to rah all day, every day when he's around. And it's kind of, I think it's fun for him. And he's curating these employee experiences, and he's figuring out how to, like, we were just working on, see, cobbler shoes. We were just working on our KPIs for our leadership team. Like, what are their accountabilities that they're reporting to us on a weekly basis so that we don't have to be tracking it anymore? Let them track it and share it with us. So yeah, it's evolving. I'll say it gets easier. In the beginning, you know, we were one guy in a truck, then we were one guy with a helper. Then we were two guys in two trucks with two helpers. And everybody said when you get to 4 crews, remember window cleaning, so I'm not sure your industry if you're listening, but window cleaning, when you get to 4 crews, it gets easier. And we were like, there's no way we're going to make it to 4. Like, we're going to burn this thing down before we get to 4. Like, this is stressful and hard. And when you get to 4, it's easier. I promise it's easier. It's easier to grow at that point because you're insulated. You've got systems. You've got other people. It's bigger than you. And I'm glad we kept pushing. So if you're listening to this, you're like, I think I might want to travel or I might want to spend more time with my family, but it's really hard, keep pushing. Like, lean on people that know how to help you push because it's worth it. It's really worth it.
That's really good. I have a lot of things here.
You got really quiet, and I was like, I need to stop talking.
No. I'm enjoying what you're saying. I want to let you say it, but I took several notes while you were sharing on this that I think could be very relevant.
Okay.
Underutilized. Totally underutilized as mentorship in today's culture. It used to be a fabric of society. What advice would you give when you say, go find a mentor, go find somebody to help you out? Do you have any words of advice on how to make that happen? Because I think that is probably a very obscure suggestion for someone to actually be able to go from, oh yeah, that's a cool idea, to reality.
Look at their lifestyle. And not the shiny, glossy one, but the true one. Like, if you want to be home with your family for dinner, find somebody who's home with their family for dinner. Find somebody who doesn't take your calls in the evening because that's family time. And I have a friend, shout out to Danny Lair, and he has the phone bed. So the phone goes to bed when you go home, and then it comes back out after the kids go to bed, right? Or the husband goes to bed or the wife goes to bed, right? Phone bed. Like, if that's something you want to emulate, go find somebody who's doing that successfully. I think sometimes we choose mentors because, like, oh, they've got a big company, or oh, they drive a cool car, or oh, they've got a lot of employees. And I'm like, are they a basket case? Like, are they drinking too much? Like, are they unhappy? Are they healthy? Do they have a healthy marriage? Like, look for the things that you want and then go just make a friend. Like, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Can I buy you a beer? Can I pick your brain for a few minutes? And see if there's a connection there. See if they're interested in helping. See if they have capacity to help. But I strongly challenge and encourage you not to look for mentors who are shiny with how they're presenting to the world. I want you to look for the softer things, because I think those are the harder things to juggle in business, is that work-life balance.
Again, a very interesting perspective. That is awesome.
I want to know what you would say, Brad. How do you choose a mentor?
I think not as thoughtfully as you. I think in the past I've looked at people who have accomplished something that I want to accomplish, or possess a skill or an attribute that I would like to learn. I would like to consider. I'd like to say this out loud, and this is not like a formal agreement by any means, but I'd like to say that Dirk is a mentor of mine currently, and that's why I'm sitting here with Bergflow. what we do together is exciting and it's cool, and I'm really pumped on it because I believe in the mission and the passion behind it, and I'm passionate about the same things. But it's an opportunity because I think I saw that he possessed some leadership and CEO and visionary skills that I want to bring in, to my capacity. So maybe that's my answer to that question. You turn the tables on me.
I know. Well, I'm just curious. And as you were saying that, I thought of one afterthought, and that is something that I've been really proud of that we've done with Jeff Likes Clean Windows is look outside your industry. Like sometimes our industry is full of just a bunch of people who do it because that's the way we've always done it, right? The accountant joke is why did the accountant cross the road? And the answer is because they did last year. Like very unoriginal. So in our window cleaning business, we've learned a lot from lawn care, a lot from maid service. We're learning right now a lot from HVAC. And I really like this idea of looking outside of our industry for role models. My mentor at my accounting company was an engineer. And it was like I didn't want to do it like the other accounting companies. So I challenge you, don't just look around your industry, go make friends in other industries.
That is such great advice, and coming from like a marketing background, I will share that could be like one of the greatest marketing hacks that exists in the world today.
Yeah.
Is instead of looking to your peers for what they're doing that works, look to another industry and something that they've implemented that is wildly successful that your industry has not yet, and go implement it. Obviously tweaked to your business, to your industry. I mean, there's a lot of caveats with that. But yeah,
I fully intend to bring recurring service to the window cleaning world, and we're going to add an HVAC membership spin on it. And I can't wait. Like, I'm so close, and I'll be shouting from the rooftops once I figure it out. But we're behind, guys. As an industry, if you're a window cleaner or a pressure washer listening to this, it's about to get real fun and much easier. So another great book, Mike Michalowicz, is Pumpkin Plan, and I am actively pumpkin planning our window cleaning company right now. So
that's exciting.
It's gonna be fun.
I've been a pumpkin plant guide for last couple of years. I think it's an amazing process. It's a very amazing process.
The idea is you can actually make more working for less people. That is the simplest concept, and they will be happier and you will be happier, and we don't have to serve everyone. That is such a freeing shift for me in accounting and in window cleaning.
Yeah, ideal client, right offer, those are very powerful concepts that man, we could spend a lot of time talking about that.
Yeah.
This is really good. There's a lot of roads we could go down, but I kind of moving from the mentorship thought, I think there's another thing that you shared, and I believe you're doing this very consciously. I think so. So I'm gonna make that assumption. It seemed like you really latched onto this idea that instead of, doing this or doing that, you had a vision of where the outcome that you were looking for, and then you reverse engineered it.
Begin with the end in mind, right? Stephen Covey. Where do you want to go? And absolutely you're going to throw spaghetti at the wall. Like you're going to go a lot of wrong turns. That's part of the fun. But don't just build a company for the sake of building a company. Don't just hire people for the sake of having employees. Like, be thoughtful. What's the point? Why did you quit your job? Why did you make the leap? Go back, Simon Sinek, find your why. Go back to your why. Start with why. And then build it. Like, that's the fun part. Build it, and you're going to screw up, and it's not going to go right, and you're going to go a lot of directions you did not think you were going to go, and that's kind of the fun part.
How impactful has that been, though? I mean, almost everything that I see when I look out at what people are trying to do, they're looking for the next thing that's going to get them to the next step, instead of looking at the end and building the steps to that end. I mean, how impactful has it been in your own? I mean, can you contextualize that in some way?
So we have a little bit of problem because we hit our BHAG last year for the window cleaning company, and we don't have a new one yet. And I think that's a little bit of a dangerous place to be. Like, so the good part is I'm refining, like I'm having a lot of fun iterating, but I'm floating a little bit about like, okay, so what's next? Are we gonna blow this up? Like in a good way? Like instead of burning it down, are we gonna like take this to the moon? Or like, are we gonna give some more to our employees, like maybe let them start having some fun with the company in terms of ownership or equity, or like
Hmm.
what happens next? I don't know. I don't have the answer. Um, but I think that there were some truths that we never compromised on, and those were family time. Jeff stopped working nights and weekends about 3 years into the business. The man hasn't worked a single weekend except for COVID. COVID was the exception. COVID, he worked 7 days a week for like 6 or 8 weeks total straight, like 16-hour days. But otherwise, that was a truth. Nights and weekends, no working, no phone calls, no work. Nights and weekends, that was important to him. Freedom to travel, that was important to us. Like, we wanted to leave. We didn't want to get stuck on the glass cleaning somewhere. Being a good employer, that was a truth. Like, we were never gonna take from our employees' pockets. Like, we were always gonna share. That was one of our core principles. And then, so like, those aren't really the end in mind, but those are values, and we like to share. That's the other thing. We're gonna share with anybody. We'll share. I had a guy call. He ended up on my calendar the other day, and he'd heard me on a podcast. And he's like, "I'm your competitor. I'm in your market, and I have some questions for you." And I was like, "Ooh, that's a bold way to start a call." Okay, like, who are you? What are you about? Like, let's talk it out. And I shared everything. I didn't hold a single thing back. I shared every single thing that we use in our company, and I like that. So I don't know where we're headed. I don't know what's coming next, but I know that we're going to stay true to these truths, and I love that.
Yeah, I do too. It's not a zero-sum game, is it?
Mm-hmm. No.
Last question for you, because we're coming up on an hour. This has been fantastic.
Aside from the glitches, which I'm sorry
that's
again.
minor.
Good.
What is, of all the things you're working on, which I know are a lot, and if there was something you could share, what is Meaghan Likes most excited about moving forward?
That's a tough question. I'm having fun. Like, I'm really having fun. I think I had a hard time when I launched Likes Accounting Company going on almost 5 years ago. I thought it was going to be easy. Like, I've done this before. I've built a business. I've grown a business. My husband stopped working nights and weekends after 3 years. Like, that's amazing. And it was hard. Like, when it was mine and I did it for myself, and I could say it was my industry, I could say it was my market, I could have all the excuses, but it was really hard to do for Likes Accounting Company. And I'm finally getting to that point where it's fun again, and I like it. I really am enjoying this process of disrupting, doing differently, building, iterating. And so now that Likes Accounting is kind of like in this sweet spot, we're kind of blowing up Jeff Likes Clean Windows again, which is fun. So it's constantly like an evolution. So now I want to disrupt the window cleaning world. I'm really excited about that. We should be doing recurring service. We should have service agreements. We should be doing better as an industry in house washing, soft washing, power washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning. And that's got me really excited right now. And I believe in doing, you could absolutely sell recurring service, no problem, but I believe in doing it automatically and systematically. And that system has been really fun for me to build, and it's not perfect yet, but we're getting close. So I'd say that's what I'm most excited about now.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you, Meaghan. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I had a great time. It was so nice to get to know you and meet you.
Likewise. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Is there anything that, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, anything they should know where they can find you?
Yeah, so if you're interested in learning how to learn your numbers, how to do your numbers, I encourage you to check out Bookkeeping Academy online. We've got some really good free content there and tools there. A couple of cool Facebook groups where you can nerd out with other business owners and be vulnerable and like, well, what should I look at? How do I look at it? And the best way to get hold of me personally is, unfortunately, still the Facebook. So just look for me on Facebook, Meaghan, Meaghan. pretty easy to spot because I have a skateboard in my profile picture most of the time. So probably the only accountant that skates. My husband says I don't really skate, I cruise, but whatever. I have a skateboard in my profile picture, so look for me on Facebook.
Yeah, that is such a West Coast thing to say.
Yeah. I start every talk, and I forgot to say that here, I am a California hippie, so love it or hate it, I know who I am. So here we are.
That is awesome. Well, thanks again. That's another episode, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe, check out the other episodes. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah, that'll be it. We'll see you guys next time. All right.